Hey, what's up? It's Tony from Street Church Ministries, and you're tuned into the Inside Job podcast. Thanks for hopping on board. We're going to jump right into this 2-week series. This is week 1 of a 2-week series, and as you can probably tell, I'm super excited about this one because, well, I think the title should probably give it away. So the title of the series is called Lessons Over Lunch. Now you know why I'm so excited about it, right? Because it has to do with food. So you know what's pretty cool? In the Gospel of Luke alone, we see 10 examples, 10 times that Jesus is sitting down and sharing meals with other people, right? So, I guess Jesus must have been Italian then, right? Or there must have been a little Italian in it maybe. But there's something so important that he has to show us through the value of meal sharing, right? And what the significance is of that is. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to see what we can glean from it. I'm going to read a couple verses from one of the most famous examples and times where Jesus shared a meal with somebody. It's in Luke chapter 5. It's beginning in verse number 27. It's when he walks up to Matthew, who was a tax collector at the time, and asks him if he would follow him, right? So I'm just going to read a few verses. We are going to jump right in it because I'm super excited. Here we go. Matthew chapter 5, verse number 27. After that, Jesus went out and noticed a tax collector named Levi sitting in the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." And he left everything behind and got up and began to follow him. And Levi gave a big reception for him in his house. And there was a great crowd of tax collectors and other people who were reclining at the table with them. I love that. So there are 3 things I sort of want to focus on, and I want to share with you today. There are 3 points. Number 1, well, I'll backtrack. So any of you ever watched The Chosen, right? I think they're in season 3 or 4. I'm not sure where, but in a particular episode of The Chosen, there's a great line. It's when Jesus he approaches Matthew here and he asks him to follow him, and and Peter is so befuddled by this, like he's so upset. In the scene in The Chosen, right? He's perplexed, he's befuddled, he can't believe that Jesus asked him to follow him, right? A lowly tax collector. And Jesus' response is so important. And I just want to point that this is point number 1, right? Jesus turns to Peter and says, "Get used to different." So those 4 words, right? Like, let them sink inside of your heart. Like for those of us who want to be about the Father's business, who want to be an example and an accurate representation of the person of Jesus Christ, and for those of us who want to follow him in the everydayness of our lives, those 4 words we have to let resonate in our hearts, right? Get used to different. Get used to different. Jesus was he was acting outside of the cultural norms of the day, of the societal norms of the day, of the religious norms of the time, right? Like, you don't just walk up to just anybody and say, "Hey, follow me," and then go share a meal with them, right? That was outside of the cultural and societal normal boxes that everybody lived in. So I think in order to follow Jesus, I think what the example is here is we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. We have to be willing to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations with uncomfortable people, with those who we cannot relate to, who we don't know, who we're not like, and we got to be willing to enter into life with them, even to the point of sharing a meal, right? I mean, yeah. So that's the first point, right? Get used to different. And if we're going to get used to different, then we have to become comfortable with living and being uncomfortable, because that's what Jesus shows us here. Amen? Amen. The second point here I want to drive home is this. I think the finding of Levi, or Levi. So some Bible translations say Levi, others say Matthew. It's the same person. So I think the finding, but I'll just say Levi here because that's what the translation says here. I think the calling of Levi means this. It means that Jesus finds us where we are and not where we should be, right? Because let's face it, no one is where they should be when Jesus comes up to us and when he knocks on the door of our hearts. No one is, right? And there's this word here I just want to emphasize on. I want to point out, and I'm going to read it again, and I want to, I want you to try and guess which word I am trying to emphasize here. I'll try not to raise my voice, either as I read it. After that, he went out and noticed a tax collector named Levi sitting in the tax booth, and he said to him, "Follow me." I love that. I love the word noticed. I love the New American Standard Bible version. It uses the word notice. It doesn't say saw. It says noticed. And to me, there's such a big difference that is between the word noticed and between the word saw. It's like, I think there's an ocean between them, right? When I hear the word noticed, I'm thinking, I'm catching the vibe that it just reeks with sympathy. It reeks with empathy. It reeks with compassionate consideration and thoughtfulness, right? You don't get that vibe in the word saw, but in the word noticed, you get the feeling like Jesus is super compassionate. He's super empathetic. He's super thoughtful and considerate. It reeks of those things, right? And he notices a man who to him has value. Like other people, he might be the scum of the earth. And you might know people who appear as though they are the scum of the earth to most people. But the truth is, if you really notice them, you would see that they have as much dignity and value and worth, no matter what they are doing, no matter where they are in the socio-economical or the whatever, as anybody else. And you're going to see that when you go from seeing people to noticing them for the potential of what they could be rather than what they are right now. Maybe Jesus noticed Levi for the untapped potential in him, for what he might be, for what he could be, rather than just seeing him for who he was now. That's the second point, right? Is that Jesus finds us where we are, and he notices us. And the third point I want to give is maybe the most profound of all, right? Jesus was invited to a dinner, and he went. And he went. And why is that so important? Well, first, I think we have to ask ourselves, why did he go? Was it because they had great food? Was it because they had great entertainment? Probably not. Jesus went because he had one focus. He had one goal, right? It was to represent who the Father was. It was to reflect the Father's love, to reflect the Father's likeness, and to represent his love to those people, right? And like he was singularly focused. Boy, try saying that 5 times real fast. He was focused. I love what Bruce Lee said. He said, the successful warrior is the average man with laser-like focus. And Jesus went where he was invited. He went to Pharisees' house. He, ate with them. He ate with women. He ate with tax collectors and sinners. He goes where he's invited, right? Because he had laser-like focus on representing the Father's love and sharing his love with those who needed it the most, right? That was his laser-like focus. You know, it was on people, not on projects or programs, but on people. And I love that about him. And I love that about him. You know, to him, and you know, and think about it. There are so many things that we allow that would have been easy for him to allow himself not to go. That sometimes that prohibit me from being involved in the activity of God in somebody's life, right? Just a few, right? Caring what other people are going to say, what they're going to think, caring about how it's going to impact my reputation. The fact is this: Jesus was a man of no reputation. He didn't care what anyone else thought. He didn't care what anyone else said about it. Because if he did, he wouldn't have been sitting down at dinner here, right? So that tells me that he was unconcerned with that. He was just concerned with one thing. He was a man of laser-like focus. And that's what we need to be too. So, all right, week 1 down, week 2 to come. You're going to love it. Have a great day. Bye.